Hello everyone, my name's Jo and I'm an ambassador for the British Dyslexia Association. Today I'm going to be talking about spelling difficulties, what causes them and the tips and tricks I can give you to help you get better at spelling. So, what goes on in the brain when we try to spell a word? Firstly, we think about how the word sounds and then we try and think about how that can be translated into letters. The most common type of dyslexia is phonological dyslexia, and this is basically just meaning sound dyslexia. This just means that you struggle with breaking down words into their different components. For example, when you think about the word kitten, does it break down into kit-ten or does it break down into kit-n? If you can't separate the sounds out, then it can be very difficult to figure out which letters go with them. But let's say you do figure out the sounds, then the next step is to try and figure out which letters to use to encode the sound with. This isn't always easy because sometimes sounds can be represented by different groups of letters. For example, philosophy. Who could have thought that the sound phi could be spelt in so many different ways? Once we think we know the letters that we want, we then have to put them into the right order. And this can be made even more difficult when it comes to handwriting because we've got to think about the letters in our heads and then also translate it onto the page. It's not uncommon for people with dyslexia to have processing delays, and this basically means that there's too much going on in our heads that it takes us a while to then put it onto the page. This means that we can either use the wrong letter or we can put it in the wrong place, we could write it backwards, and it sort of all gets a bit jumbled up. Some people may just skip the stage where they try and translate the sounds into letters and instead they just envision what they think the word looks like. Or they may just go and look it up. However, short-term memory means that you may have just seen the word a few seconds ago but then completely forgotten it a few seconds later. This is quite common for people with dyslexia. So, now we've looked at how the brain works when trying to spell a word, let's look at some spelling tips. By using our dyslexia strengths to our advantage, this will help us to combat some of our weaknesses and help us get better at spelling. Number 1, getting kinesthetic and visual with our learning. As we all know, dyslexics are really good when it comes to those sort of learning techniques. So, for example, if we were to draw the words into the sand or to cut them out and stick them up and use loads of drawings and colourful pieces of paper, this will really appeal to our dyslexia strengths. Number 2, using a touch typing lesson, such like touch type read and spell. Touch typing is a great way to learn how to spell because it's a multi-sensory learning experience. Not only will the child hear the word read aloud, but they will also see it on the screen, and then they will then press the corresponding letters. Key sounds and letter combinations. If we can build up our automatic response to key sounds and letter combinations, this can really help build up our spelling speed in general. Let's turn this into a game. If we take these key sounds and letter combinations like these, and then let's say we had a picture of a cake, then the kid has to try and match up the key sound with the picture. Number 4 is to read, read, read. Reading is so important, especially if we to also read out loud. By building up our memory of different words by seeing them on the page frequently, this can help build up our automatic response when spelling them. But most importantly, enjoy what you're doing. Learning should be a fun experience and it's the best way to retain information. So that's my video on spelling difficulties and my tips and tricks for you on how to get better at spelling.